Taman heard the wind screaming outside his small metal hut. He had lived on the frozen moon of Kiral 7 for 3 years now, and he knew the sounds of the storms well. But this one was different. This one was angry. He sat at his desk looking at rock samples under his microscope. His job was simple: study the rocks, write reports, send them back to Earth. Nobody bothered him here, and he liked it that way. The loneliness was better than the noise of cities and the fake smiles of people who didn't care. The wind hit harder. The walls of his hut shook. Taman looked up from his work and frowned. The weather station on his computer showed red warnings everywhere. Temperature minus 80 degrees. Wind speed 200 kilometers per hour. This was bad, very bad. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside he could see nothing but white. Snow flew sideways like bullets. The sky and ground mixed together into one terrible whiteness. Taman had seen many storms, but never one like this. He checked his supplies. Food for 2 months. Water recycler working fine. Emergency heater fully charged. He would be okay. The storm would pass. They always did. Then he heard something else. A sound that didn't belong to the wind, a crash. His door flew open. Snow and ice exploded into the room. The cold hit him like a punch, and something else came through the door. Something alive. Taman jumped back, his heart pounding. A figure stumbled into his hut and fell onto the floor. The door swung wildly in the wind. He rushed forward and pushed it closed, fighting against the storm's strength. Finally, the lock clicked. The wind became a dull roar outside. He turned around, breathing hard. On his floor was a person, but not a human person. She was tall and thin, with skin that glowed with soft blue and purple lights. Her body was covered in frost. She wore clothes made from some kind of woven material he didn't recognize. Her face had 2 large eyes, bigger than human eyes, and they shone with a golden color. She had no hair, but her head had smooth ridges that curved backward. Taman knew what she was. A Velen, the native people of this moon. He had never seen one up close before. The company had told all workers to stay away from them. They're dangerous, the company said. They don't want contact, but this one didn't look dangerous. She looked terrified. She pushed herself backward across the floor, away from him. Her mouth opened and she made sounds. Not words he could understand. High-pitched sounds like singing mixed with crying. The lights on her skin flashed bright red and white. "Wait," Taman said, holding up his hands. "It's okay. I won't hurt you," she screamed. Actually screamed. Her whole body shook. She pressed herself against the wall as far from him as she could get. Her eyes were wide with pure fear. Taman felt confused. He was trying to help. Why was she so afraid? Then he remembered the stories. The company had told workers that the Velens didn't like humans, but they never said why. He took a step back, giving her space. "It's okay," he said again, keeping his voice soft. "You're safe here." She didn't understand his words, but her fear didn't decrease. If anything, she looked more terrified. Her skin lights flashed faster. Red, white. Taman noticed she was shaking, not just from fear, from cold. Ice covered her clothes. Frost was forming on her skin. The lights that glowed from inside her were getting weaker. She was freezing to death. He needed to help her, but every time he moved, she flinched. He felt helpless. How could he save someone who was afraid of him? Slowly, very slowly, he backed away to the other side of the room. He pointed at the emergency heater near the wall. Then he pointed at her. Then back at the heater. She watched him with those huge golden eyes. She didn't move. Taman walked to the heater and turned it on. Warm air began to flow from it. He then walked away from it, going to the far corner of the room. He sat down on the floor, making himself small. Trying to look harmless. "The heater," he said, pointing. "It will warm you, please." She didn't understand his words, but she understood the warmth. After a long moment, she moved. Slowly, painfully, she crawled toward the heater. She kept her eyes on him the whole time, like he might attack at any second. When she reached the heater, she held her hands near it. The shaking in her body slowly decreased. The ice on her clothes began to melt. The lights on her skin stopped flashing red and became a steady blue color. Taman stayed in his corner. He didn't move. He barely breathed. He just watched her warm herself and tried to look as non-threatening as possible. Minutes passed. The wind screamed outside. Inside, the only sounds were the heater's hum and the dripping of melted ice. Finally, she looked at him. Really looked at him. Not with panic now, but with confusion, and still fear. Always fear, Taemin understood then. She wasn't just afraid of him because he was a stranger. She was afraid of him because he was human, but why? What had humans done to make the Velans so terrified? He thought about his company, about the mining operations, about the explosions he sometimes heard in the distance, about the smoke that rose from the valleys. Maybe he knew why after all. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. He knew she couldn't understand the words, but maybe she could understand the tone. "Whatever we did to your people, I'm sorry." She tilted her head, listening to his voice. Her skin lights pulsed gently. Blue, purple, blue. Outside, the storm grew worse. The wind sounded like it wanted to tear the whole moon apart. Taemin looked at his weather computer. The storm would last for days. Maybe a week. They were trapped here together, a human and a Velan, and she thought he was a monster. Taemin settled against the wall. This was going to be a very long storm. He looked at the alien woman across the room. She looked back at him, her whole body tense and ready to run, even though there was nowhere to run to. "My name is Taemin," he said, touching his chest. Maybe she would understand the gesture. She said nothing. But her eyes followed his every movement, watching, waiting, afraid. The storm howled. The hut shook, and two strangers sat in silence, separated by fear and misunderstanding, trapped together in a small metal box while the frozen world tried to kill them both. The first night was the hardest. Taemin didn't sleep. The alien woman didn't sleep either. She stayed by the heater, watching him with those big golden eyes. Every time he shifted position, she tensed. Every time he stood up, her skin flashed red with alarm. By morning, Taemin was exhausted. The storm outside continued its rage. White death swirled beyond the windows. Nobody could survive out there. Not human, not Velan. They were stuck together. Taemin needed to eat. His stomach growled. Slowly, he stood up. The woman's lights immediately flashed red. She pulled back against the wall. "I'm just getting food," he said gently. He pointed to his mouth, then to the small kitchen area. She didn't understand. Or if she did, she didn't trust it. He moved to the kitchen, keeping his movements slow and obvious. He opened a cabinet and took out a protein bar. He unwrapped it and took a bite, chewing slowly so she could see. Then he took out another bar and held it toward her. She shook her head quickly. Her skin flashed red and white in patterns. Fast patterns. Scared patterns. Taemin set the bar on the floor between them. Then he backed away to his corner. "When you're ready," he said. Hours passed. The protein bar sat untouched. The woman never took her eyes off him. She was shivering again, but not from cold. From hunger, maybe. Or exhaustion. Or fear, Taemin tried to think. How could he communicate with her? They had no shared language. Every human gesture seemed to frighten her. What could he do? He looked at her skin. The way it glowed with colors. The way the patterns changed. That was communication, wasn't it? Like a visual language. He grabbed his tablet computer and started researching. His database had some information about Velans, not much. The company didn't care about learning their culture. But there were a few notes from early explorers. Bioluminescent communication, he read. Velan skin produces light patterns that convey emotional and basic conceptual information. That was it. That was the answer. Taemin spent the next hours building something. He used spare parts from his equipment, LED lights, a simple controller. His hands worked quickly, driven by desperation and hope. Finally, he had it, a flat panel that could create simple light patterns. He programmed in basic colors, blue, green, red, yellow, purple, and simple patterns, steady, flashing, pulsing waves. The woman watched him work. Her fear seemed mixed with curiosity now. Her lights were less red, more blue and purple. When he finished, Taemin held up the panel. He made it glow with a soft blue color, the same color her skin showed when she was calm. Her eyes widened. She sat up straighter. He made the panel flash red. The same pattern he'd seen when she was afraid. She made a sound. Not a scream this time. Something else. Surprise, maybe. Taemin pointed to himself. Then he made the panel glow green and held it over his heart. Green, peace, friendship. He hoped it meant that. The woman stared. Then slowly, very slowly, her skin changed. Green lights appeared among the blue. Faint at first, then stronger. Yes, Taemin said. Green, that's good, right? He pointed at the protein bar on the floor. Then he made the panel glow yellow. He pantomimed eating. She looked at the protein bar, then at him, then at the panel. Her skin flickered. Blue, purple, yellow, green, like she was thinking. Finally, she reached out. Her hand was thin with long fingers. She grabbed the protein bar and pulled it close. She sniffed it. Her face showed doubt. Taman took out another bar for himself. He unwrapped it and ate it, showing her it was safe. She watched. Then carefully she unwrapped her bar. She took a tiny bite. Her face scrunched up. Clearly she didn't like the taste. But she was hungry. She took another bite. Relief flooded through Taman. It was a small victory, but it was something. Over the next days, they developed a simple system. Taman would show light patterns on his panel. The woman would respond with her skin. Blue meant calm. Green meant agreement or peace. Red meant danger or fear. Yellow seemed to relate to basic needs like food or warmth. Purple was harder to understand, but it seemed to mean questioning or uncertainty. They weren't having conversations, but they were communicating. On the third day, the woman finally relaxed enough to sleep. She curled up by the heater and her lights dimmed to almost nothing. Taman watched over her, making sure she stayed warm and safe. When she woke, her skin showed blue and green together. She looked at him differently. Still cautious, but not terrified. That night, Taman tried something new. He held up the light panel and made it show patterns. Then he touched his chest. Taman, he said, his name. Daimin. He repeated it several times. Then he pointed the panel at her and made it glow purple. A question she understood. Her skin flickered through several colors. Then she made a sound with her mouth. It was musical and strange, but it was a word. Lyria. Lyria, Taman repeated, trying to match her pronunciation. Your name is Lyria. Her skin glowed bright green. Yes, agreement. Lyria, he said again, smiling. I'm Taman. This is my home. You're safe here. She didn't understand all the words, but she understood his tone. Her fear was fading, slowly, carefully, like ice melting in spring. Over the following days, their communication improved. Taman learned that certain light patterns meant specific things. Fast red pulses meant danger or warning. Slow blue waves meant calm or safety. Green circles meant friendship or peace. Yellow flashes meant need or want. He taught her a few human words: food, water, warm, cold, sleep. She taught him some Velen sounds, though his mouth couldn't shape them correctly. She found this funny. Her skin showed colors he hadn't seen before, bright pinks and oranges. He realized she was laughing. On the fifth day, Lyria did something unexpected. She stood up and walked closer to Taman. Not all the way, but closer than before. She sat down just a few feet from him instead of across the room. Her skin showed green and blue. Then she used the light patterns to tell him something. It took time. She had to repeat the patterns several times. But finally, Taman understood she was trying to say thank you. His throat felt tight. You're welcome, he said. He made his light panel glow green. Then Lyria did something that changed everything. She started telling him a story. Using lights and gestures and simple sounds, she showed him what had happened. She had been with a group. Other Velens. They were traveling, searching for something. The storm caught them. They scattered. She ran. She found his hut. She thought she would die outside. So she chose to face the demon inside instead. Taman felt his stomach drop. Demon? You thought I was a demon? Lyria's skin flashed red at the word. She made more patterns, showed him more of the story. And slowly, horribly, Taman understood. Humans weren't just strangers to the Velens. They were monsters. Creatures from nightmares. Stories parents told children to make them behave. The iron demons who couldn't be killed. Who walked through poison and fire. Who destroyed mountains and boiled the earth. Who took everything and gave nothing back. That's what Lyria's people called humans. That's what they believed. And she had been taught these stories her whole life. When she saw Taman's face that first night, she thought she was looking at death itself. Taman felt sick. What did we do? He whispered. What did my people do to yours? Lyria's lights went dark. Only faint blue remained. Sadness, he realized. That color was sadness. She couldn't tell him the whole story yet. Their communication was still too limited. But she had told him enough. The storm outside was finally dying. Soon it would be safe to travel. Lyria would leave. She would go back to her people. But Taman knew something now. Something important and terrible. There was a reason the Velans feared humans. And he needed to know what it was. He looked at Lareya. She looked back at him. In her golden eyes, he saw something changing. Fear was becoming trust. Hatred was becoming understanding. Whatever had broken between their people, maybe it could be fixed. Maybe it started here, in a small metal hut on a frozen moon where two strangers learned to see each other as people instead of monsters. We have a lot to learn, Timon said quietly. Both of us. Lareya's skin glowed soft green. Agreement. Hope. And maybe, just maybe, friendship. The storm ended on the 7th day. Taman woke to silence. Real silence. No howling wind, no rattling walls. Just quiet. He stood and looked out the window. The world was white and clean. Mountains of snow surrounded his hut. The sky was clear and filled with stars. Beautiful and deadly, Lareya was already awake. She stood by the window too, looking out at her world. Her skin glowed with soft blue light, but there were threads of other colors mixed in. Purple, yellow, something dark that might have been brown or gray. You can leave now, Taman said. He felt sad saying it. The storm is over. It's safe. Lareya turned to look at him. Her lights flickered. She understood some of his words now. They had taught each other much during the storm. But she didn't move toward the door. Instead, she sat down and began making light patterns. Complex patterns. More detailed than before. She was trying to tell him something important. Taman grabbed his light panel and sat near her. What is it? He asked. What's wrong? Lareya's skin darkened. The gray-brown color spread across her. It was sadness. Deep sadness. She started showing him patterns, and Taman tried to understand. She showed him images of Velan cities. Beautiful places underground where warm air rose from deep vents in the moon's surface. Places where her people lived and grew food and raised families. She showed him happiness. Green and gold and bright blue. Then she showed him the change. The vents growing cold. The warmth dying. Her people freezing. Children getting sick. Elders dying. The cities becoming tombs of ice. Your people are dying, Taman whispered. Horror filled his chest. The cold is killing you. Lareya's skin flashed green. Yes. Her golden eyes were wet. He didn't know Velans could cry, but she was close to it. She showed him more. The elders meeting. Warriors gathering. Weapons being prepared. And then she showed him the target of their anger. The human mining facility. The huge complex in the valley. The place where Taman's people dug into the moon and pulled out precious metals and minerals. You think we did this? Taman said. His voice was quiet. You think humans killed the warmth? Lareya's skin flashed green again. Yes. She showed him explosions. Machines digging. The ground shaking. And after each explosion, the vents growing colder. Taman felt his world tilting. He had worked for the company for 3 years. He studied rocks. He wrote reports. He thought his job was simple and harmless. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe his people were destroying this moon and everyone on it. Show me more, he said. Show me everything, Lareya continued. She showed him the Velan plan, an attack, a desperate assault on the mining facility. They would strike in 10 days when their warriors were ready. They would destroy the human machines or die trying, because dying in battle was better than watching their children freeze. No, Taman said. No, that's suicide. The facility has hundreds of workers. Weapons, security. Your people will be slaughtered. Lareya's skin showed dark colors. She knew. They all knew. But what choice did they have? Taman stood and paced. His mind raced. He had to do something, but what? He was just one person. A low-level researcher that nobody listened to. What could he possibly do against a massive corporate operation? He stopped. He looked at Lareya. Can you take me to your people? Can you show me the dying vents? Lareya's skin flickered with uncertainty. Purple swirled with red. Taking a human to her people would be dangerous. For her, for him, for everyone, please, Taman said. If your people are right, if we're really killing this moon, then I need to see it. I need proof. Maybe I can stop it. Lareya stood. She walked to him. For the first time, she reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was warm and smooth. The lights in her skin pulsed where she touched him. Green, blue, green. Trust, he realized. She was choosing to trust him. They left the hut together. The cold hit Taemin hard, but his thermal suit protected him. Lyria wore her woven clothes and seemed comfortable in temperatures that would kill a human in minutes. Different species. Different needs. They walked for hours across the frozen landscape. Lyria knew the way. She led him over ice fields and around dangerous crevasses. She showed him how to read the moon's surface, where to step, where to avoid. Finally, they reached a canyon. Lyria pointed down. Taemin looked over the edge and saw something amazing, a Velen city. Built into the canyon walls, structures that glowed with gentle light. Bridges of woven material connecting different levels. Gardens that somehow grew in the cold. And in the center, a large vent in the ground that should have been pouring out warm air, but it wasn't. Only a weak trickle of warmth emerged. Ice was forming around the edges. "This is incredible," Taemin breathed. "I didn't know. The company said this moon was uninhabited. They said there was no intelligent life here." Lyria's skin flashed angry red. She made harsh sounds. "They lied," Taemin said. He felt anger rising in him too. Or they didn't bother to look. They just wanted the minerals. They climbed down into the canyon. Velen saw them coming. Their skin lights flashed in alarm, red everywhere. Warriors ran toward them with spears. Lyria stepped in front of Taemin. Her skin showed complex patterns, fast and urgent. She was speaking to her people, explaining, pleading. The warriors stopped. They surrounded Taemin and Lyria, their spears pointed, their skin showing anger and fear. An older Velen came forward. Her skin was darker than the others, and her patterns were slower but more complex. An elder, Taemin realized. A leader, Lyria, and the elder communicated through lights. It went on for a long time. Other Velens gathered. Some showed anger. Some showed curiosity. Children peeked from behind adults, their skin glowing with excited colors. Finally, the elder turned to Taemin. She made patterns at him. He didn't understand all of it, but Lyria translated with gestures. The elder wanted to know why he was here. Taemin pulled out his tablet computer. "I want to help," he said. He typed quickly and showed them a map. A geological map of the entire moon. The mining operations. "Show me where they're digging." "Show me where your vents are," Lyria explained to her people. Slowly, carefully, they marked the locations. Taemin entered the data into his computer. His software began analyzing. What he saw made his blood run cold. The mining sites were directly above underground thermal channels. The explosions weren't just extracting minerals. They were collapsing the channels that carried heat to the Velen vents. Every blast, every tunnel was cutting off the life force of the Velen civilization. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what would happen next. "Oh no," Taemin whispered. His hands shook as he read the data. "Oh no, no, no," Lyria touched his arm. Her skin showed purple. "A question." "What's wrong?" Taemin turned the tablet to show her. He pointed at the map. At the big red zone that his software had highlighted. "The thermal channels are connected. All of them. They're part of a massive system. If the mining continues for 2 more weeks, it will trigger a chain reaction." He tried to explain with gestures in his light panel. Underground pressure building. Magma rising. A massive volcanic event. Not just in one place, everywhere, the Velen elder understood. Her skin went completely dark except for faint red pulses. "Terror. The mining will destroy this moon," Taemin said. "It won't just kill your people. It will kill all the humans too. Everyone. Everything." The gathered Velens made sounds of distress. Their lights flashed in panicked patterns. "I have to stop this," Taemin said. "I have to warn the facility. I have to show them this data." Lyria's skin flashed red. She made urgent patterns. She was trying to tell him something. The elder spoke to her. More light patterns. Lyria translated with gestures. The elder was saying that Taemin couldn't just walk into the human facility. Director Juan, the man in charge, didn't care about Velens. Didn't care about anything except profits and quotas. The elder had tried to communicate with humans before, years ago. They had been shot at, driven away. "Then what can I do?" Taemin asked desperately. "I can't just let everyone die." The elder considered this. Her skin showed thoughtful patterns. Then she made a decision. She spoke to her people. Warriors came forward. They gathered supplies, weapons. Lyria turned to Taemin. Her skin showed many colors, green, blue, yellow, red, all mixed together. She was determined but afraid. She took his hand and made him understand. They would go together. Her people would help. They would get him into the facility's computer system. He would upload the geological data, broadcast it to Earth and to the Velen elders simultaneously. Show everyone the truth. It won't be easy, Taman said. It's dangerous. Lorea's skin glowed bright green. She already knew. But what choice did they have? Taman looked at his tablet. At the countdown his software had calculated. 14 days until catastrophic failure. 14 days to save 2 species from extinction. He looked at the Velen city, at the warriors preparing for a mission, at the children watching with glowing skin, at Lorea standing beside him ready to risk everything. He thought of his sister Nayung back on Earth, her smiling face, her children. He had a photograph of them in his hut. Okay, he said, let's do this. Let's save everyone. The elder's skin showed approval, gold and green together. Hope they had a plan now. It was dangerous and probably impossible, but it was better than war, better than extinction. Taimin and Laria stood together, surrounded by warriors from a species he had been taught to ignore. Taimin stood outside the mining facility, hidden behind a ridge of ice. Next to him, Lorea and 12 Velen warriors waited in silence. Their skin lights were dimmed to almost nothing. In the darkness, they were nearly invisible. The facility was huge. Bright lights illuminated the complex. Machines roared as they dug into the moon's surface. Workers in thermal suits moved between buildings. Security drones floated in patrol patterns overhead. I need to contact Jiho first, Taman whispered. He's my friend. A shuttle pilot. He can help us get inside. Lorea's skin flickered purple, uncertainty. Trust was hard, especially trust in another human. Taman pulled out his communicator and sent a coded message. Just 3 words. Need your help. They waited. Minutes passed. The cold bit at Taman even through his suit. Then his communicator buzzed. Where are you? Jiho's voice came through. Taman, everyone thought you died in the storm. I'm alive. Meet me at the North Cargo entrance, alone, it's urgent. What's going on? Jiho, please, trust me. Lives depend on this, a long pause. Then, okay, give me 10 minutes. They moved quietly toward the north entrance. It was a small door used for supply deliveries, less guarded than the main gates. The Velen warriors spread out, watching for danger. Jiho appeared in the doorway. He was a tall man with kind eyes and messy black hair. When he saw Tamian, he smiled. Then he saw Lorea and the warriors. His smile vanished. What is this? Jiho stepped back, his hand moving toward his weapon. Don't, Tamian said quickly. They're here to help. Jiho, we're in trouble. Everyone is. I need you to listen. You brought Velens to the facility? Are you insane? If security sees them, they'll shoot first and ask questions never. That's why we need your help. I need to get into the computer center. I have data that Director Juan needs to see. Data that proves the mining is going to kill us all. Jiho looked confused. What are you talking about? Taman pulled out his tablet and showed him the geological analysis. The collapsing thermal channels. The building pressure. The countdown to catastrophic volcanic failure. Jiho's face went pale as he read. This can't be right. It's right. I've checked it 3 times. We have less than 2 weeks before this entire moon becomes a lava pit. We need to warn everyone. We need to stop the mining immediately. Juan will never listen. You know what he's like. All he cares about is meeting quotas. Then I'll go over his head. I'll broadcast this data to Earth headquarters. They'll have to listen. Jiho looked at the Velens. Lorea stepped forward. Her skin showed calm blue colors. She made gentle patterns trying to communicate peace. She's the one who saved me during the storm, Taiman said. She showed me what's happening to her people. The mining is killing them, Jiho. We're destroying their homes and we didn't even know they existed. Jiho closed his eyes. Taiman could see him struggling with the decision. Finally, he opened them. The computer center is in the central building, 3rd floor. But security is tight. We'll never get past the checkpoints. What if we cause a distraction? Taiman asked. One of the Velen warriors made light patterns at Lorea. She translated through gestures. The warrior was suggesting they create chaos at the main gate. Draw the security forces away, that's suicide, Jiho said. The automated defenses will kill them. Not if you disable the defenses first, Taiman said. You have pilot access codes. You can shut down the security grid for a few minutes. If I do that, I'll lose my job, probably get arrested for sabotage. If we don't do this, we'll all be dead in 2 weeks. Jobs won't matter much then. Jiho laughed. It was a bitter sound. You really know how to motivate a person. He looked at the Velans again, at Lyria's calm, trusting face. Okay, I must be as crazy as you are. But okay, they made their plan quickly. Jiho would get to the security control room and shut down the defense grid for exactly 5 minutes. The Velan warriors would create a distraction at the main gate. While security responded, Taman and Lyria would enter through the cargo entrance and race to the computer center. 5 minutes, Jiho said. That's all I can give you before the system automatically reboots. If you're not in and out by then, you'll be trapped. We'll make it, Taman said. He wasn't sure if he believed it. Jiho left to get into position. The Velan warriors moved toward the main gate. Taman and Lyria waited by the cargo entrance. This is insane, Taman muttered. What am I doing? Lyria touched his shoulder. Her skin glowed soft green. She trusted him. Her people trusted him. That had to count for something. Taman's communicator buzzed. Jiho's voice. Security grid going down in 3, 2, 1. Go now! The lights around the facility dimmed. Alarms began to sound. At the main gate, the Velan warriors attacked. Not with weapons, but with their own bodies. They rushed the gate, their skin flashing brilliant colors. Confusion, chaos. Human workers shouted in alarm. Taman and Lyria ran through the cargo entrance. Inside the facility was a maze of corridors. Taman had only been here a few times. He tried to remember the way, left, right, up the stairs. Workers passed them running toward the alarms. Some saw Lyria and froze in shock. But before they could react, Taman and Lyria were already gone. They reached the 3rd floor. The computer center was ahead, but so was Director Juan. He stood in the corridor with 2 security guards. His face was red with anger. What is the meaning of this? Who authorized the security shutdown? He saw Taman and Lyria. His eyes went wide. You, what are you doing with that creature? Guards, arrest them both. The guards raised their weapons. Taman grabbed Lyria and dove into a side corridor. Energy blasts scorched the walls where they had been standing. Stop them, Juan screamed. They're saboteurs. Taman and Lyria ran. The facility layout flashed through Taman's mind. There was another way to the computer center. Through the maintenance tunnels, they found a service hatch and climbed down. The tunnels were dark and narrow, perfect for hiding. They could hear guards searching above them. This way, Taman whispered. They crawled through the tunnels. The metal was cold. Water dripped from pipes. This was taking too long. How much time had passed? 3 minutes? 4? Finally, they found another hatch. Taman pushed it open. They emerged into the computer center. Rows of servers hummed. Screens glowed with data. Taman ran to the main terminal. He plugged in his tablet and began uploading the geological data. The screen showed the progress bar. 40%, 50%, come on, he muttered. Come on, the door burst open. Guards poured in. Director Juan followed them. Step away from that terminal, Juan shouted. Not until this uploads, Taman said. 70%. 80%, I said step away. Juan nodded to the guards. They aimed their weapons. Lyria moved in front of Taman. Her skin flashed angry red. She made fierce sounds. A challenge. She would protect him. Shoot them both, Juan ordered. Then the building shook. A deep rumble came from below. The lights flickered. On the computer screens, emergency warnings appeared. Seismic activity detected. Thermal instability in sectors 7 through 12. It was starting. The collapse. Earlier than predicted. What have you done? Juan screamed at Taman. It's not me. Taman shouted back. It's the mining. Look at the data. We're destroying the thermal channels. Another rumble. Stronger this time. A screen on the wall showed the mining site. The ground was cracking. Steam and smoke poured from the fissures. The upload reached 100%. Taman's broadcast went out. To Earth headquarters. To every screen in the facility. To the Velan elders waiting in their canyon city. The geological data appeared everywhere. The analysis. The predictions. The countdown to disaster. This is a lie, Juan said. But his voice was weaker now. Uncertain. The sensors don't lie, one of the technicians said. He pointed at the real-time data. The pressure is building. The thermal system is collapsing. If we don't stop the mining immediately, the entire moon will tear itself apart. The building shook again. Harder. Chunks of ceiling fell. Alarms screamed throughout the facility. Juan stared at the screens. At the undeniable evidence. His face went from red to white. Evacuate, he whispered. Then louder.
Evacuate!
Everyone to the shuttles. Now, guards ran. Workers fled. The facility became chaos. But Taman grabbed the communications console. He opened a channel to the mining site. All mining operations, this is an emergency. Stop all drilling. Stop all blasting. Power down immediately. This is not a drill. If you continue, we all die. His voice echoed across the facility's speakers. At the mining site, the machines began to shut down. One by one, the drilling stopped. The explosions ended. The rumbling continued for several minutes. Then slowly it decreased. The pressure was still there. The danger wasn't over, but at least they had stopped making it worse. Jiho appeared in the doorway. His face was covered in dust. The Velen warriors are safe. I got them out before the main gate collapsed. Are you okay? Taman looked at Lyrea. Her skin showed exhausted blue colors, but also green. Hope. We did it, Taman said. We actually did it. Through the window he could see Velen figures on the ridge outside. The warriors, watching, waiting. Their skin lights glowed in the darkness. And at the facility's main gate, humans and Velens stood together for the first time. Not as enemies. Not as monsters and demons, but as two species who had just saved each other from extinction. Director Juan sat on the floor. 6 months had passed since the day the moon nearly died. Taman stood outside his hut, but it didn't look like his hut anymore. It had been expanded. New sections added. Built with both human metal and Velen woven materials. A hybrid structure. A symbol of cooperation. He watched the sun rise over the frozen landscape. It was beautiful. He had lived here for almost 4 years now, and he still found new beauty every day. You're up early, a voice said behind him. Taman turned. Jiho walked toward him carrying 2 cups of hot tea. His friend had decided to stay on the moon after the evacuation. Many had left, but some stayed. The ones who wanted to be part of something new. Couldn't sleep, Taman said, accepting the tea. Big day today. The first joint council meeting, Jiho said. Nervous? Terrified, Taman admitted. What if it doesn't work? What if humans and Velens can't actually work together? Jiho smiled. We're already working together. Have been for months. This is just making it official. He was right. After the emergency, Earth headquarters had sent investigators. They confirmed Taman's data. The mining operations had been illegally approved without proper geological surveys. Director Juan was arrested. The company was fined billions of credits. But more importantly, Earth recognized the Velen civilization. They were declared a sovereign species with rights to their moon. New treaties were written. New rules established. And Taman had been made the official human liaison to the Velen people. It was a job he never wanted and couldn't refuse. The delegates are arriving, Jiho said, pointing at the sky. Shuttles descended from orbit. Human representatives from Earth. Scientists, politicians, engineers. They landed near the expanded hut, now called the Embassy Station. From the canyon, Velen delegates were arriving too. Walking across the ice in their woven clothes, their skin glowing with formal patterns. Taman recognized many of them. The elder who had first trusted him. Warriors who had risked their lives. In Lyrea, she walked at the front of the Velen group. Her skin showed proud colors, golden, blue, and green. She had been named as the Velen ambassador. Her people had chosen her because she understood humans. Because she had been brave enough to trust one. When she saw Taman, her skin brightened. She came to him and they touched hands briefly. A greeting they had developed together. Human and Velen. Ready for this? Taman asked. Lyrea's skin flickered in a pattern he recognized as humor. Her people had learned some human gestures too. She shrugged. It looked strange on her tall, thin frame, but it made Taman smile. The delegates gathered in the main hall of the embassy station. Humans on one side, Velens on the other. The tension was obvious. Some humans looked uncomfortable. Some Velens showed cautious red patterns on their skin. Taman stood at the center. Thank you all for coming, he said. Lyrea translated through light patterns for her people. 6 months ago, we nearly destroyed this moon. Both species. We were hours away from extinction. The room was silent. Everyone remembered that day. We survived because we chose to work together, Taman continued. We chose to see past our fears. To see each other not as demons or monsters, but as people who wanted the same thing. To live, to thrive. To protect our families, a human delegate stood. His name was Byung-ho, and he represented Earth's mining corporations. That's a nice speech. But we need to discuss practical matters. The mining operations, the resources Earth needs. How do we continue extraction without endangering the Velen population? A Velen elder responded with light patterns. Lyria translated out loud, speaking human words she had learned. We understand Earth needs resources, but we need the warmth from the thermal vents. We must find balance. Balance, Byung-ho said. What does that look like? Taemin pulled up a holographic display. We've been working on this for months. A new mining plan. We extract from areas far from the thermal channels. We use smaller, more controlled operations. Slower, but safer. Slower means less profit, another human delegate said. Slower means everyone survives, Ji-ho said sharply. Isn't that profit enough? The Velen elder made light patterns. Her meaning was clear even to humans who couldn't read the patterns. There was wisdom and patience. The meeting continued for hours. Humans and Velens debated, argued, compromised. It wasn't easy. Sometimes voices were raised. Sometimes Velen's skin flashed angry red, but they kept talking. By evening, they had the outline of an agreement. Controlled mining operations, environmental monitoring, shared research facilities, cultural exchange programs. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. As the delegates left to rest before tomorrow's negotiations, Taemin stepped outside. He was exhausted. His head hurt from translating and mediating all day. Lyria followed him out. Her skin glowed softly in the twilight. You did well today, she said in human words. We both did, Taemin replied, though I'm not sure everyone is happy with the compromises. Compromise means nobody gets everything they want, Lyria said. But everyone gets something. That is fair, Taemin smiled. You're wise. How did you get so wise? Her skin showed colors that meant amusement. I learned from a human who was brave enough to help a scared stranger in a storm. They walked together toward the canyon. This had become their routine. Evening walks where they talked about the day, about the challenges ahead, about their hopes. At the canyon's edge, they looked down at the Velen city. It was thriving now. The thermal vents had been stabilized. Engineers from both species worked together to ensure they would never fail again. Gardens grew. Children played. The lights from thousands of Velen homes glowed like stars. My people are telling new stories, Lyria said. Not about iron demons anymore. About humans who saved us. About Taemin who chose kindness over fear. Taemin felt his throat tighten. I'm not a hero. I just did what was right. That is what heroes do, Lyria said. Her skin glowed warm gold. They do what is right when it is hard. In the distance, human children from the facility played with Velen children. The humans wore thermal suits. The Velens glowed with excited colors. They chased each other across the ice, laughing. The sound carried across the frozen landscape. Look at them, Taemin said. They don't see monsters. They just see friends. Children are wise that way, Lyria agreed. They have not learned to fear yet. We should learn from them. A message appeared on Taemin's communicator. It was from his sister Na Young back on Earth. He opened the video message. Hi, little brother. Na Young's face appeared. She was smiling. I saw the news about the treaty negotiations. I'm so proud of you. Mom and Dad would be proud too. You always wanted to make a difference. Looks like you're doing it. Her children crowded into the view. Hi, Uncle Taemin. Are the aliens really nice? Can we come visit? Taemin felt tears on his face. When had he started crying? What is wrong? Lyria asked. Her skin showed concerned purple colors. Nothing's wrong, Taemin said. Everything's right. For the first time in a long time, everything is right. He showed Lyria the video. She watched carefully. Your family, she said. You miss them? Yes, but I'm where I need to be. Doing what I need to do. Lyria's skin glowed soft green. Understanding. Agreement. They stood together in comfortable silence as the stars came out. Two different species. Two different worlds. But finding common ground on a frozen moon far from either of their homes. What do you think will happen? Lyria asked. When the treaty is signed. When our peoples are officially allied. Will it last? Taemin thought about that. I don't know. Humans have a bad history of breaking promises, of forgetting agreements when it's convenient. And I don't know enough about Velen history to judge. We have broken promises too, Lyria admitted. My people are not perfect either. Then we'll have to work hard, Taemin said. Both sides. Every day, we'll have to choose to remember why this matters. To remember the children playing, the lives saved, the future we're building. I will remember, Lyrea said. Her skin showed solemn colors, a vow. I promise I will remember why this matters. Me too, Taemin said. Below them, in the human facility, lights blazed. Above them, stars shone. Between them, on this small frozen moon, two species were learning to share space, learning to trust, learning that survival meant cooperation, not domination. It wouldn't be easy. There would be setbacks, misunderstandings, conflicts. But they had started with something important. They had started with truth. With seeing each other clearly. A Velen had run into a human's hut to escape a blizzard. She had been terrified when she saw him. She thought he was a monster, a demon from nightmares, but he wasn't. He was just a man, lonely and scared in his own way, trying to do good in a complicated universe, and she wasn't a monster either, just a person trying to protect her people, trying to survive in a world that had become dangerous. They had found each other in that storm, and in finding each other they had found hope. Come on, Taemin said. Let's go back. Big day tomorrow. Every day is a big day now, Lyrea said, but her skin showed happy colors. She was joking. Learning human humor, they walked back to the embassy station together. Behind them, the Velen city glowed. Ahead of them, the human facility blazed with light, and between them, footprints in the snow. Human and Velen. Side by side, the frozen moon spun on, no longer dying, no longer divided, just a world where two species had learned the most important lesson of all.